That sound okay? All right. So it's Monday, so let's kind of remember where we're at. Okay, we're about 1936. We're going to be jumping around 34, 36, 37 today. For this case, we're really talking about these important areas of Germany and him rearming the Rhineland. So we talked about appeasement, yes, the giving up of one's principles in order to avoid conflict. Okay, we're going to see multiple instances of this in the next few slides as we go through getting closer to war. Okay, so as appeasement takes place, we see, kind of your bullies gaining strength. They're testing the waters to see what they can get away with. And basically nobody is stopping them. Okay, so we talked about the Olympics, talked about the Spanish Civil War, which Franco and the fascists will end up winning by 1939. If any of you guys are Ernest Hemingway fans, Hemingway wrote For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is dealing with the Spanish-American War. Okay, he went there. You had the Abraham Lincoln Brigade. That's kind of a cool story as well. Okay, so let's go on to the next slides. We did the Olympics, okay? So, good neighbor policy. You might remember Henry Stimson, who was the Secretary of State under Hoover, tried to improve our relationships with Latin America. Remember, we had been a bully, kind of sent our Marine, anytime something went wrong, we just sent in the Marines, okay? And Stimson tried to stop that and improve relations with Latin America. Roosevelt's going to double down on this, okay? And what's called the good neighbor policy, all right? And so Roosevelt is the first president of the United States to get on a plane and travel to another country and visit with a head of state. And that first country will be our neighbor, Mexico, okay? This is a political cartoon from the age. He, good neighbor, goes visiting to Mexico, okay? Now, this cartoon would not be published in American newspapers today, would it? Why? It would be called racist, wouldn't it? Because they've got them wearing traditional Mexican garb, yes? So they wouldn't do that. Okay. But this is going to work, guys. This is going to pay dividends down the road, okay? So let me remind you again, as World War II breaks out, the United States is surrounded by two oceans. Every country in our hemisphere will eventually declare war on the German, Italian, and Japanese Axis powers. Okay. Now, Argentina, which had some pro-fascism in it, was one of the last countries. They wanted to see who was going to win first before they chose sides. Okay. They came on late, but even the Caribbean nations, guys, played a role in the war effort. Okay. Mexico did send some troops to Europe. Okay. And Brazil sent some troops to the Pacific. Okay, so now Canada was definitely involved. They sent troops. They're part of that British Commonwealth. Okay, so we fought alongside a lot of Canadians. All right, they played a pretty big role. Okay, so if everybody in your hemisphere is on your side, you don't have to worry about being attacked unless it's from across an ocean. It works, okay? We don't have to worry about that because of both the Stimson Doctrine, and then later Roosevelt's good neighbor policy. Improves relations, okay? Good foreign policy. Okay, Japanese-American relations, we got to check in on what's going on with the Japanese every now and then, right? Because we know what's coming down the pike. Yes? So the League of Nations had condemned Japan for its invasion of China. Okay, they walked out, right? They just walked out. In 1937, the Japanese continued further and further into China. Okay, and things like the rape of Nanking and so forth. In 1937, guys, there's actually going to be an incident in China involving the United States and the Japanese, which could have led us to war, but didn't. Okay. So this is just, this is just checking in. Okay. We will shout bold words, but we're not sending troops anywhere. We don't want war. We're isolationists. Okay. We don't want to get involved. When you're ready, I'll go on to the next slide and talk about this incident between Japan and the United States in China. One thing to understand about China is that there was a lot of foreign involvement in China, including the United States. Just like oil companies in Latin America and Mexico, our oil company is going to help the Chinese develop their oil fields as well. So we've got American business interests in China, so do the British, so do the Germans, okay? And the Japanese are attacking it, which means those people, the Germans, which are allied with the Japanese, the Germans, British, and the Americans have to be weary of the Japanese in China. Ready? Okay, this is called the Panay incident. Let me turn the light off on this one. So on December 12th, 1937, an incident occurs. This boat, called the USS Panay, you can see it's a gunboat. There's a gun here on the front. This is flying the American flag in the rear. This boat is on the Yangtze River. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Yangtze River. It's the fourth largest river in the world when it comes to the amount of water that is carried down this river. Okay? It's a huge river. Now, this boat was there. Now, any idea why an American gunboat would be in China in 1937? Protecting American ships. Yes, cargo ships that are going up and down the Yangtze River. They're there for protection. Well, the boat itself, the Panay, is going to come under attack from both the shoreline and from Japanese aircraft. This boat is actually going to sink. Okay, and as you can see here, 2 Americans will be killed and 46 will be wounded. Now, the Japanese claim this is a mistake. It was an accident. You buying? So.
What did they take from the trade in cargo? They steal cargo?
I don't think so.
They should.
They sank our ship.
They just sank a ship.
Well, let me ask you this. If Iran were to sink one of our Navy ships in the Persian Gulf today, how would we respond? Well, we would hit them back hard, yes? Maybe not war, but we would hit them back. Okay? We're not going to do that here. Why? We don't want this conflict. We don't want a war. We don't want to escalate. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so the Japanese apologized, offered $2 million for the families of the deceased. Okay? And many worried Americans were like, why in the heck are we in China? What are we doing there? You're going to get us drawn into a war. We need to get the heck out of there. That was the general response from the media and from others that, guys, we need to get out of here. I'm sorry, we need lights off on that. Okay. Now, while I have this slide up, let me talk to you a little bit about the Yangtze River. Okay. This is kind of interesting. Did any of you guys aware of the dam that the Chinese built in the last decade there? The largest dam in the world is called the Three Gorges Dam. It's worth it. Okay, well, sure. I'm cool with it because, it's clean energy, right? But there's some downsides to it, okay? So that dam is going to be right here, okay? And right here are the gorges, so it kind of funnels in. It's in the valley, okay? Now, guys, there's some crazy statistics with this. So once the reservoir is completely full, it's still filling. It will be the size of Indiana. This is a massive lake that wasn't there before, you understand? Now, scientists believe that this dam will actually slow down the rotation of the Earth by a millisecond. It's a tiny fraction, okay? I don't know. Now, guys, they had to move more than 1.2 million people, relocate them, that lived in the gorge area, okay, to build this dam. They submerged a crazy number. I think I got this right here. Give me a second. Give me a second. I have an article. I printed it out. Maybe it's here. Here it is. Yeah. All right. Listen to some of these stats. Okay, this dam was started in 1974. Okay, at an estimated cost of $90 million. It employed 20,000 workers. The dam itself will contain 27 million cubic meters of concrete for the dam and ship locks. Okay, 340,000 tons of rebar, 381,000 tons of metal. Once finished, the dam will be 175 meters above the riverbed, which is about 500 feet, over 500 feet above the riverbed, and stretch almost 2 kilometers, okay? 2 kilometers from bank to bank, okay? Now, the effects. Once completed, the dam will flood 28,000 hectares of crops and orchards, submerge 13 cities, 40 towns, 300 villages, and 1,600 factories, all submerged. As a result, 1.2 million people had to be relocated, the largest resettlement project in history for a civil engineering project. Perhaps of even greater loss than the land are the 100 plus historical sites that will be submerged, some dating back to 10,000 BC. So you got to go underwater to find them. Okay, but the Yangtze River is known for its killer floods, like the Mississippi, right? 1927 flood in Mississippi was massive, guys. Okay, it killed a lot of people, and it, dislocated a lot of people. Okay, so it'll help them control that. That river, the floods on the Yangtze had already displaced like 38 million people. Okay, so this may help. Okay, now what it's going to do, guys, is open up larger ships that can get through the locks to get out here to Chongqing, where about 380 million people live out this way, which is bigger than the population of the United States. So this will open up, goods and services and so forth for them. Okay. Akron, Ohio. Hello? Hey, man, I'm in the middle of class. All right, man. It's one of my sons. He's needy. My son has like friends that he started playing video games with, like when he was 12. This guy lives in Ohio. He's got one in Pennsylvania. He's got one in New York. Like they've been playing for 10 years. They've been playing together. You guys have any friends like that? Have you ever met them in person? One of them? Yeah. I'd like Jack to be able to go, I'm like, dude, you need to take a road trip and go see your buddies. It's something only your generation has. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have had that. It's kind of cool, I think. But Dylan is needy. And my wife is very soft. And she has a big heart. She's been helping this kid out. He's driving me crazy. He's a nice kid. He's just, He needs some. Okay. Landslides. Here's some other problems. Sedimentation. The reservoir will trap about 75% of sediments, causing dam and ship lock problems. Water loss. Okay, so when you build a reservoir the size of Indiana, a lot of the water in that reservoir is going to evaporate. So that means less water for the people downstream. Does that make sense? Okay. For the tree huggers, okay, loss of wildlife. This is kind of staggering. Okay, over 40 new wild animal species had been discovered in that gorge area in the past few years. Like they're still finding new animals they didn't know existed, including 12 new mammal species, 21 bird species, 6 species of reptiles, and 5 amphibians they didn't even know existed that they just found in the last few years. Now they're all submerged. Okay, well the birds aren't submerged, but their habitat is. Okay, as well, 4 species under state protection reside within the gorge: the golden monkey, the clouded leopard, the spotted leopard, and the golden eagle. So this may cause some of these species to become endangered or even extinct. Okay, waterborne disease. Since the river is located in a subtropic area, many diseases such as malaria have an increased chance of spreading. Population resettlement and dam safety. What happens if this dam breaks? Now, if we ever go to war with China, of course. Now, let's talk about some of the benefits here. So, guys, I'm going to show you a video. There are 26 floodgates that create the hydroelectric power. 26. Each one, when flowing, produces the same amount of energy as a medium-sized nuclear power plant. So this is going to provide a lot of electricity for the Chinese, which is good. That's better than them building coal-powered plants, yes? Which they're doing now anyways as well, okay? So as we get greener, the Chinese are not following suit. You guys need to understand that. Okay, so if we went completely zero carbon emissions in the United States, it's not going to affect global climate because the Chinese and the India, they're not doing the same thing. You understand? So we shoot ourselves in our foot, okay, and they thrive. Okay, now you guys can have different opinions on that, okay, but be that as it may. Okay, so I thought that's pretty interesting. My lily, okay, was this is Chong Queen here. My lily was from like right in here, a small town called Qingdao. That's where she's from. Joanna, you know where you're from? You do? Can you point it out on the map? Yes. What do you mean you used to? Is it south? Is it north?
I should know the name.
What's the name?
It's like,
Okay. I don't know what that is. That wasn't one of the cities I went to. Okay. But there's only 2 people in this room. Only 2 people in this room that have been to Guangzhou. Canadian. Now you don't remember because you were too little. It's a beautiful city. Guangzhou. It's like Savannah, Georgia. Have you guys been to Savannah, Georgia? Yeah, it's a beautiful city. Okay. At the White Swan Hotel. There's only 2 people that have stayed at the White Swan Hotel. The American consulate is in Guangzhou in the south. All right, move forward. Sorry to put you on the spot there. Okay, now, the theme for probably the rest of the day is going to be neutrality. Okay, I think I mentioned this the other day, guys, that you know, if you were an American, you weren't allowed to go over and fight in the Spanish Civil War or in Europe, okay, because we had laws that prohibited that. These are called Neutrality Acts. Okay, so now one thing you got to remember with this, guys, Roosevelt is still a politician, and he still wants to get reelected. So you got to kind of keep this in mind when I go over some of these notes. Okay, so FDR warns that the whole world will be engulfed in war if this type of aggression continues. And he's right. Yes? What are we going to do about it? Right. So he calls for a quarantine. And if any population in the world today knows what quarantine is, it's your generation. Right?
I see.
Aggressor nations, quarantine aggressor nations. Does that mean we're going to stop trading with all these nations? What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything because we're not going to do it. He says, let's quarantine these nations. But we don't. Okay? These are words of a politician. Listen, the American people don't want war. He can't go too far. Roosevelt sees the writing on the wall. Yes, he's right. But do the American people want to create a conflict by cutting off trade with these countries or helping certain countries? No, we're going to play the middle. We're going to play the middle. And guys, people within the country are divided on this as well. I already mentioned, I showed you the video the other day about the Nazi Party in America. It was not insignificant. There were some very powerful people that supported the Germans. And a whole bunch of German immigrants that lived here. Like your families. Okay. So we got about 4 camps we can put the American people into. Okay. Some became pacifists. They said, never again will we go to war for any reason. Now, this is not a significant number of the population, okay, but there were people that felt this way, especially the Quakers. And there's not many of them left. Any of you guys know a Quaker? I know a few. In Wichita. They go to church at the Friends School, out east here, or out west here. And of course, there's Friends University, right? So anytime you hear Friends, that's Quakers. You guys know that? Yeah, Friends is a Quaker university. Yep. So obviously the Quakers were mostly from Pennsylvania. The family I know is from Indiana. There's a small community, just kind of like Lindsborg. It's the Swedes, right? You got the Swedes up there, the Czechs up in whatever, you know. Yeah, so people are Quaker. Some of them come to Friends University, and then they move to Wichita and they stay. It's a very, what they said, there's 30 to 40 people at the service, the Quaker service. Yeah. Of course, you may have some fall-away Quakers. Right? Okay, so most Americans are in this camp. Okay, believe in the idea of isolationism. And then I was talking about your families. Okay, so Americans from Italy and Germany that were immigrants, especially, did not like the idea of fighting against what was recently their homeland. And then you have your American Nazis. Okay. And I talked about the 5th column, right? I stopped the video. They talked about the 5th column. Now, Donald Trump was not the first American politician to use the words America First. Okay? America First Committee that was formed in the 30s was very opposed to taking sides. Now, this political cartoon, it's kind of a Paul Revere, British are coming type card play on that. Okay, this is from later. This is from about 1940. Okay, and on this America First horse, Charles Lindbergh, okay, Senator Wheeler, and Senator Knott. This is what they're saying. Roosevelt is a warmonger. Nothing can crush Hitler but a negotiated peace. That's a defeatist attitude. Hitler don't want to fight us. We have nothing to fight with. This is Britain's war. Make Pepper, who's a senator, quit picking on us. Okay? That's the America First Committee. And they were focused on, some of them like Germany, but most of them, they just wanted us to stay out of it. Okay? Even after our closest allies are attacked. Okay? Here you can see the American flag, the Nazi swastika, and here again, George Washington, the American flag, and the Nazi swastika. Okay? Here in the States. Okay, more neutrality. Now, this is a big fear we have, guys. 35 today, right? Okay, check your geography here. Okay, so here's China. Okay, the Japanese have attacked. This dotted line represents how far the Japanese will eventually get. Okay, so the reason I have this map up here is so I can show you the Philippines. Now, who controls the Philippines in 1934? The United States. It's an American territory, right? So as the Japanese continue to attack further into China, we know, guys, at some point, the Japanese are going to attack the Philippines. And they will. On December 7th, 1941. The same day that Pearl Harbor is attacked, the Philippines will be attacked. Malaya will be attacked. Wake Island out here will be attacked. All on the same day, December 7th. Okay? Now, we are fearful of this because then, in proximity, this is where the most Americans are in danger of the Japanese. Guys, you have tens of thousands of American military, servicemen and women, sailors. You've also got civilians living in the Philippines, American civilians. So the Tidings-McDuffie Act passed by Congress says this: we will provide the Philippines with their independence in 12 years. What are we asking? Are we asking the Japanese by announcing this to wait until we leave? I think we are. And this may be construed as a form of what? Appeasement. Okay? Tidings-McDuffie, 1934, is one of the examples you could use on a long answer question about appeasement. Our response to the Panay incident, or lack of response. Also, okay? Now, guys, we are going to hold true to this, by the way. On July 4th, 1946, 12 years later, we will grant the Philippines their independence. There's no irony in that. July 4th. Us granting them independence. You see the irony?
No irony. No, none. Not.
Now, I've asked some Filipinos that I know, do they celebrate July 4th as their Independence Day? The answer is no. They celebrate Independence Day when we gave it to them from Spain. And then we took it from them for a while. Then we gave it back to them. Okay? Guys, look for this. Guys, when we gave them their independence, we were given a 99-year lease to use naval base there, okay? Subsequently, they actually asked us to leave. Some of our sailors, guys, in every big group, you can have some bad apples, and some of our sailors behaved badly there and in Japan. And they asked us to leave. We did. Now, we did go back, we were invited back because the Philippines, which is like 98% Catholic, does have a problem with Islamic extremism. There's a group there called Abu Sayyaf, okay, in the Philippines. It's a radical Muslim group tied to Al Qaeda, and they do kidnappings, and they will kidnap people and hold them for ransom and that sort of thing. One couple that got kidnapped by Abu Sayyaf was a couple of missionaries from Rose Hill, Kansas, Martin and Gracia Burnham. This is in the 2000s. The Philippines asked us to come back and train their men to how to deal with terrorism after 9/11. And so in an effort to rescue Martin and Gracia Burnham of Rose Hill, Special Forces went in. Martin, unfortunately, was killed in the exchange of gunfire. Gracia was saved, rescued, survived, and made it back to the States and wrote a book about her ordeal. Okay, my wife met her. She read the book and got to meet her at a book signing. Okay, interesting story. Okay, but the Philippines, listen, right now, because of China, guys, and Taiwan, we are starting to increase our funding and presence in the Philippines again, like as we speak right now. Okay, which is probably, I don't know, might be a smart move. Just in case. Okay, we're also trying to help the Japanese grow their military. Okay, these people, like the ones in Europe, with what's going on in the Ukraine, the ones in Europe, they need to be rearming right now. They shouldn't be sitting on their hands. Okay, and we are starting to rearm as well. We are starting to send more equipment, highly specialized equipment, to Taiwan. This is going on as we speak. Okay, heard this, discussion on the radio the other day, and so our big contractors, Raytheon, McDonnell Douglas, and so forth, you're going to see them expanding. Okay, I told my daughter, I'm like, hey, you need a job this summer, go see if Raytheon's got anything. Get an internship over there, because that's a military side of Raytheon. Okay, they do a lot of different things, but they have a lot of government contracts for military equipment here in Wichita. Okay, you guys heard of Raytheon? It's out east. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, some of you may end up working there one day. Okay, it's probably a pretty good place to work. All right. So, Philippines, okay. This is an advertisement or a magazine cover from Spain. Okay, I got Sergio's not here. Spanish speaking. Mariah. Can you read this?
I can't see it.
Propaganda. Okay, so this is like this strong dude trying to smash fascism. Okay, all right. So Neutrality Acts, guys. We're gonna create these laws. Okay, so, but in 1934 and 35, guys, unlike what we're doing in the Ukraine right now and Taiwan, we will not send weapons to belligerent nations. Nations that are at war, we are not sending any weapons. We're not taking sides. That's 34 and 35. In 36, when the Spanish Civil War broke out, that included Spain. Okay, so we couldn't help them under Neutrality Acts. This hurts the Republican effort against the fascists because we're not helping. Right. So the Republican government will fall. All right, so as we move through the 30s, guys, okay, Hitler rearms the Rhineland in 36. Ethiopia is invaded by Italy in 35. Okay, so things are starting to heat up a little bit, okay? In the video we watched on Friday, they took you all the way through Poland. Okay, that's 1939. Okay, so we're kind of working our way up there. Neutrality in 37, we kind of begin to shift as things get uglier. Okay? So if you wanted to buy anything from the United States for your war effort, you would have to bring your ships to our ports, pay cash, and carry it back with you. Okay? So on a cash and carry basis, here's the catch. No munitions could be sold. So we will sell you our planes, but no bombs for those planes. We will sell you our guns, but no bullets for those guns, because guns don't kill people, bullets kill people. And so if you were using our guns, you wouldn't be using our bullets, so we're still neutral. You get it? That's the rationale. Okay? So we'll sell you tanks, but no shells for those tanks. See how this is evolving. Okay? As things get a little bit ugly. Okay? The president, no munitions, the president could add more limits to this if he chose to. Isolationists thought this would keep us neutral and out of the war. And then the isolationists make a push for a new constitutional amendment. So my government students right now, we've been talking about amendments, and you got to have 2/3 of both houses to propose an amendment, yes? In 38 states today, or 34 states before we had Hawaii and Alaska, okay, to ratify. Here's the amendment. In order for the United States to declare war, we would have a popular vote to decide whether we would go to war or not. Now listen, guys, if we're going to send our sons, our daughters, our husbands, our wives, our fathers, our mothers off to war, shouldn't it be the American people that decide that we're going to war or not? Not Congress. That's the idea. Now, how many would support that amendment? Vincent, why would you not support that amendment? We'd never go to war? Or maybe we'd go to war more often if people got upset. What if they used propaganda on us? You know, like the government lied to us about things that were going on overseas and made us really mad, and we all got upset and we started fighting all these wars because we were pissed. You know, the mob. Leah, you like this amendment? Why? How about this one? What the hell do you know? What the hell do you know about the Ukraine? Before we started talking about it, before it started happening, what do you know? What do you know about Taiwan? What do you know about the Philippines? Why wouldn't we let the people decide? Yeah. And then there's the timing of it. Like, you got to like hold an election. The president may need to act. Commander in chief. Now we haven't declared war since December 8th, 1941. Yet we've had many wars, yes? So now it's kind of in one person's hand. What Joe Biden's doing in the Ukraine, he has not really asked approval from Congress. Now he's gotten money from them. Okay? But guys, most people don't know what's going on in the world. This is why we elect people to make these decisions for us. Come on, man. We don't live in a democracy. And there's a reason for that, right? Because most people are too busy to pay attention to what's going on. They got jobs, they got kids, they got stuff going on. They don't have time to pay attention to all this. Well, gee, maybe you do, but I think you're still partially living under a rock. So I don't think I should let you make that decision. And Joanna, no, she doesn't pay enough attention. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I just think you can't. That's a terrible idea. But just to show you how isolationist we were, 75% of the Americans polled in 1937 supported this amendment. Now, Congress and the president, that's a hell no. Okay? So, 75% of Americans favored this constitutional amendment. Congress refused to send it to the states, and the president strongly opposed it. Okay. Yeah.
Did not get sent to the Congress. Are they supposed to be representing people?
Yep.
And the people wanted it. They didn't pass it.
Let me give you another example of why that's okay. If I were to poll people in America, if they should think there should be a law against desecrating the American flag, burning it and protesting, defecating on it, stepping on it, there should be a law against that. You might get 60% of the American people who would say, yeah, there ought to be a law against that. But what you would do by passing that law would be taking away your freedom of expression and by extension, your freedom of speech. So which is more important, your freedom of speech or your feelings about the flag? Same thing here. My opinion. I don't trust the people. You've been in other classes, right? Like this is an honors class. Like you might trust some of these people, but I mean, some of them you wouldn't. Like they're clueless. You know what I mean? Why are we gonna let these people make the decision? I don't think so. Now, guys, our government's screwed up a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Like we've screwed up a lot. All right. We'll pick up from there.